You see my screen.
And let's see. I can see your screen.
Go. Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. As Jackie said, my name is Keisha Rogers. I am a certification officer with the certification unit of the Department of Procurement Services. And I am actually one of the, as an officer, I actually am one of the people here in our unit that actually reviews all of the applications. So today we're just gonna give you a brief overview of the certification process and the application. If you have any questions, like Jackie said, please do not hesitate to put them in the Q&A, and I will try my best at the end to go ahead and answer them as best as I possibly can. So we're going to look at the benefits of certification, who qualifies for certification, certification requirements, the application process, required information and documents, and after applications are submitted. So really quick, the Department of Procurement Services is the contracting authority for the procurement of goods and services for the city of Chicago. So we work together as a team and with our customers to guarantee an open, fair, and timely process by establishing, communicating, and enforcing superior business practices. So the City of Chicago Certification Program, which is why you all are all here, we have several different programs. So the City of Chicago, we handle the local programs, and we also handle the federal program. So there's two different levels of programs that we do handle. The first is the local program, which is you'll see them on your screen, the minority-owned business enterprise, the women-owned business enterprise, the veteran-owned business enterprise owned and operated by people with disabilities. And those, again, like I said, are the local program. And then the last two are the federal program, which is your disadvantaged business enterprise and your Airport Concessions disadvantaged business enterprise program. So if you want to be considered or do an application for the local and the federal program, that is two separate applications. So you can go in and for the local, determine which ones you feel are best suited for your company that you can apply for the local, then go in and do the separate application for the federal program if you want to be certified at the federal level as well. So first, the benefits of certification. So it provides visibility. So once your firm is certified, there is a directory which is accessible by everybody. Okay, so the general public, any prime contractors, you can go on there and look it up, and it lists all of the different firms that are certified with us. So there are also minority, women, and disadvantaged business participation goals for City of Chicago projects, as well as with our sister agencies. There are also businesses that are in the private sector that also want, if they have a contract or any type of bids or anything, they also want firms that are certified. So they do seek out certified firms for their products and services too at the private level. Another benefit is that the City of Chicago has a target market program, which provides exclusive bidding to the certified businesses. And this allows the certified businesses to take 100% of the contract because there are no subcontract goals associated with the project. So do you qualify for certification? If you follow under one of these qualifying groups, if you fall under one of these, then you indeed are considered a qualifying group, okay? So we have African Americans, Hispanic, Asian Indian, women, veterans, persons with disabilities, and other individuals who can prove social and economic disadvantages. So a good resource also to maybe look to see if you qualify would be to go to our rules and regulations, which is also listed on the DPS website. So it gives you definitions on who is considered to be a qualifying member. So if you do not fall under African American or Hispanic or Asian Indian, but you still feel like you have been socially or economically disadvantaged, there is an affidavit that you complete where you will pretty much have to provide a narrative, and you're letting us know why do you feel like you have been disadvantaged, what type of things have happened to you over your life, like what qualifies you if you are outside of these qualifying groups to be considered to be socially and economically disadvantaged. The veteran-owned business enterprise. Now, this certification is for veterans. So if you're a veteran and if you have your DD 214 or DD 215, then you can definitely qualify for the VBE certification. So the veteran means a person who has served in the United States Armed Forces and was discharged or separated under honorable conditions. So your DD 214 or 215 will show if your discharge was honorable or if it was not honorable. So that is what we need to see on whether or not you do qualify for the VBE program. Now, certification requirements. What's required? You definitely have to be a local business for the local programs, right? Which, if you remember earlier, I said was the MBE, minority, WBE, women, VBE, veterans, and BEPD, which is people with disabilities. Okay, so we're talking about the local program. For that, you need to be a local business, which means your principal place of business should be in the counties of Cook, DuPage, Kane, Lake, McHenry, or Will. If you are outside of those counties, if you are in another state, you do not qualify for the local programs. However, you can be located anywhere in Illinois for the DBE and ACDBE programs. Again, those are the federal programs. Another requirement is that your business must be 51% owned, controlled, and managed by a qualifying member. So that has to be a minority, which was listed in that previous slide, a woman, a veteran, or a person with a disability. For DBE and ACDBE, the owner must be socially or economically disadvantaged individuals, okay? Another requirement is that you have to look at your business size standard. This program is for small businesses, so you have to make sure you are falling within the business size standard. Now, for the local program, your gross receipts cannot exceed 43.23 million, averaged over 3 years for non-construction firms. For construction firms, you are subject to the SBA size standards, and then they changed that recently so that in addition to the size standards, we multiply that by 1.5, averaged over 7 years. So depending on if your firm is construction or non-construction, you have a different set of business size standards that you cannot exceed. So if your business over 3 years, your non-construction is 40 million, then you would still fall under those business size standards because you're under the 43.22 size standards that we require. Now for DBE, which is again, remember the federal program, your firm's 5-year average annual gross receipts must not exceed the SBA size limits for the firm's primary line of business or a 3-year average maximum of 28.48 million for Federal Highway Administration, Federal Transit Administration assisted contracts. For Federal Aviation Administration assisted contracts must not exceed the SBA size limit for the firm's primary line of business, okay? So you would have to look up the SBA size limits. It depends on the code that you're requesting for certification, what that gross receipts limit is for the SBA. For the Airport Concessions Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Program, which is the ACDBE, you cannot exceed 56.42 million average over 3 years for most firms, okay? As I said, some exceptions do exist. As an officer, one of the things that we do, we actually do a gross receipts analysis to determine if you meet these, exceeded, or what is the case. So that is one of the reasons why you will be providing us tax returns. And again, it depends on if it's construction, non-construction, local program, federal program, on the number of years that will be required for you to provide to us in order to calculate whether or not you fall within the business size standard. We also look at a personal net worth standard. Now, for the local program, we only look at personal net worth for construction companies. The personal net worth is currently 2.5 million. So, and this is evaluated annually by the city of Chicago. So your personal net worth cannot exceed 2.5 million. If it does, then you do not qualify for construction companies for the local program. For DBE and ACDBE, the threshold applies to all people, so it doesn't matter what you're seeking certification in, and is currently at 1.3 million. And this is also adjusted periodically by the U.S. Department of Transportation. Okay, so the new revised calculation for the personal net worth, you do not include your business, ownership, equity in any real estate, any fixtures, furnishings, value and pensions, 401k, or other retirement savings or investment programs. We actually have a personal net worth statement that you would actually complete, and it'll kind of walk you through the things that you need to include on there so you know exactly what assets and liabilities are being included to calculate your personal net worth. Businesses that qualify. So most business structures definitely qualify for certification, whether you're a sole proprietor, if you're a general partnership, if you are LLC, an S Corp, a C Corp, all of those qualify for certification. So let's just go through really quick the definition. So sole proprietor is typically owned by only one person, has no legal existence apart from the person, him or herself. So with the sole proprietorship, you have to submit an assumed name certificate if operating in a name other than your own name. Okay. A general partnership is where there's two or more people going to business together without any formalities. We do require for a general partnership that you provide the partnership agreement. For a corporation is treated as an entity that is separate from its shareholders. It allows others to invest in the business without being liable for the debts of that business. So if you are a corporation, your firm must be in good standing with the Secretary of State. So we definitely make sure we check the Secretary of State website and we make sure that it is in good standing. Now, if you happen to not be in good standing, we do notify you as we're reviewing the application to let you know and give you an opportunity to correct that. For a corporation, you must also have the articles of incorporation or certificate of incorporation. You must have bylaws, copies of all stock certificates, and have meeting minutes. In the event you do not have any of these documents, I would upload in your application stating that you do not have it and a reason why you do not. But mostly corporations do and should have these documents. So currently, if you're a corporation and you do not have any bylaws, I would just go ahead and get those created. If you don't have stock certificates, go ahead and get those created before you start your application so that you can upload those documents into your application, because those are necessary. Those help us to determine who is the majority owner of the business. A limited partnership is where there are limited partners or more like stakeholders in a corporation. They are not liable for the debts beyond their own ownership. So for a limited partnership, we do look for you to have an assumed name certification or certificate of limited partnership. Then we have an LLC, partners that have a managing member or partner. You must have an operating agreement. You must have articles of organization. Again, if you are LLC, if you do not currently have an operating agreement, I will go ahead and get that put in place before you submit your application, because most of the time LLC should have an operating agreement. Now let's talk about suppliers and distributors. So a supplier, if you are a supplier, you must be a regular dealer, which is a firm that owns, operates, or maintains a store, warehouse, or other establishment in which material, supplies, articles, or equipment are bought, kept in stock, and regularly sold or leased to the public in the usual course of business. Okay, that's a supplier. A distributor is a firm that is operating as a distributor, are identified as having a direct relationship with the manufacturer to distribute its goods and products within a specified territory or region. The goods or products are not available or sold to the general public. So depending on what you fall under, there are certain things, certain documents that we expect for you to have. Like you might have a manufacturing agreement, suppliers, we expect for you to have inventory, etc. So those are things that you might be asked. And there's actually a listing of documents that have to be provided if you are a supplier or a merchant wholesaler that you would have to provide to us. Now, brokers, firms acting as a broker are not eligible for certification as a MBE, WBE, VBE, or BEPD. Again, that's the local program. But you might be eligible for certification as a DBE, which is the federal program, okay? A broker is a person or entity that fills orders by purchasing or receiving supplies from a third-party supplier rather than out of its own existing inventory. Okay, so that's very important. If that is you, you will be considered a broker and you're not eligible for certification as under the local program. In addition to that, you provide no substantial service other than acting as a conduit between his or her supplier and his or her customer is considered to be a broker. The online application process, which is where we get most of our questions, okay? So to submit your applications online, if you are able to see the screen, at the top, it has where you should go, chicago.mwdbe.com, okay? Go to that website. If you have not already, you will create a username and a password. And this is where you will submit your application. You will have 90 days from the time you start your application until you have to complete it. I tell people to try to definitely do it before 90 days, because if you do not, it will delete. I am not sure if the application deletes at midnight or if it deletes later in the day on your 90th day, but I would not let 90 days creep up on you and your application is deleted. So all the hard work you've done has now been deleted. For the local program, there is an application fee of $250. So once you submit your application, you don't right then and there pay your fee. We have to get it on our end, and then you will be invoiced. Okay, so one important thing while you're going through the application process is to always keep track of your your emails. Always check your emails, because that is how we will communicate with you. So once we take a quick look at your application and determine, okay, it's pretty much good to go, and we receive it, then we will send you an invoice for the $250. Once you pay the $250, then it will be, and it clears and is processed on our end, then it will be assigned to a certification officer. So please keep in mind, as soon as you hit the submit button on your application, this is for the local program, that you have to allow us a little time to go ahead and invoice you. It takes a little time maybe for you to pay and for it to be processed. So as soon as you hit that submit button, your application is not right then and there starting to be reviewed, okay? There is no fee for the DBE and ACDBE programs, or for the BEPD if you're just doing the people with disabilities separately. You're not asking for like the minority or the women for the local program. As I said, you will receive an email invoice. We will not review your application until you pay the $250 application fee. The invoice will tell you where you can pay. The invoice that you receive will let you know where you can pay the $250, which is at most of cities' payment centers. I believe you can do it online, etc. Okay. You will have to provide your contact information. When you enter it in, make sure it is the correct email address. Make sure you're providing us with the correct phone number. Make sure you're providing us with the correct address. You have to indicate the types of certification you are seeking. So if you're doing the local program and you're a minority and you're a woman, you can select the MBE and the WBE at the same time. There's one fee of $250. If you are a woman, a minority, a veteran, and a person with a disability, select all four. There's one fee of $250. Remember, for the DBE and ACDBE programs, which again are the local, there is no fee for those. Now for the BEPD, you require a Schedule G form. You must send that information to the mayor's office for people with disabilities. They will approve it. We do not need to see any details. They will send it over to us to let us know that it has been approved, okay? For the VBE, again, as I mentioned in that previous slide, you do have to provide the DD-214 or the DD-215. Other information you will have to provide is ownership information to prove that you are the owner of that firm, employee information if you have any, facility information, no matter if you are a home-based business or you have a brick and mortar, or you do have to provide the information so that we can confirm you are a local business and exactly where your business is located. So if you are working from home, you can provide your property tax deed, or if you're renting, your rental or lease agreement, it should be signed and it should be the most executed, most recent lease or rental agreement. You will provide financial information such as your tax returns for the business as well as your personal licenses for the applicant in the business. So if you are an architect, we do expect for you to have a state of Illinois architectural license. If you're in construction, you should have a City of Chicago general contractor's license. If you are an electrician, we do look for you to have the Department of Buildings electrical license. So make sure you have all of the applicable licenses that you need before applying for certification. If you're not sure what license apply to you, then I would definitely go to the Business Affairs and Consumer Protection Office and speak with someone there, and they can kind of assist you with what licenses might be applicable. You will also have to provide a resume. This should be a detailed chronological resume. This should show your previous work experience. It should show your education. It should show the roles and responsibilities you have. If you have any licenses, those should be. So any resume that you will be providing, if you were applying for a job to show that you are eligible, that you are qualified for that job, that is exactly the type of resume that you should be providing to us. Provide evidence of any executed contracts or invoices. Those contracts should have a scope of service that pertains to the area of specialization that you're requesting to be certified in. So when you apply for certification, you are applying for a certain nexus code, NAICS, nexus code. So that is the area of specialization that your business, that's what you are performing in. So again, if you are a plumber, your nexus code would pertain to plumbing. So you would have to show executed contracts or invoices to show that you're currently working in those areas. Now, if you are not, that is absolutely fine, because startup businesses can definitely qualify for certification, and we understand that you might not have those executed contracts. You have to provide your driver's license and birth certificate or passport, proof of equity contribution. Now, what is that? What funds did you use that you personally contribute to start your business? You have to tell us the amount, exactly the source of the amount. So if it was your personal bank account, and provide proof, okay? A business bank account signatory card. A lot of people are unsure of what that is. So when you opened up your business bank account, you had to sign a piece of paper so that the bank knows who is the authorized signer on that business bank account. That is your bank account signature card. So either you have it in your papers that you got when you started your business bank account, or you might have to go to your bank. Sometimes some banks act like they have no idea what you're talking about. It is the form that you signed at the beginning when you opened your business bank account. It lets them know who is authorized to do any type of transactions on that bank account. You must provide an organization chart, an equipment list, and any type of loan information. So if you've recently taken out any business loans, PPP loans, all that type of stuff, then you should be providing us with that information as well. You will be providing financial documents. So, and I mentioned this a little bit earlier about the number of years of tax returns you will have to provide based on the industry of your firm. So you will provide federal, business, and individual tax returns. One important thing I want to make sure I let you all know is that those returns should be signed. I understand it's 2023. Who's signing tax returns? We do a lot of stuff electronically, but we need a wet signature on those returns. So even though you don't sign it when you submit it to the IRS, when you file, when you get your copy, just take a pen, sign it in where you're supposed to sign it at, and then upload it to us, okay? So 3 years for non-construction firms is what you need for the local program. 7 years for construction firms. If you do not have it, that is okay. We understand that your business, if you started in 2022, you would not have 7 years. You will not have 3 years. That is absolutely fine. But if your business has been open since 2009, then you should have 3 years. You should have 7 years of tax returns. For DBE and ACDBE firms, 5 years. We want W-2s and 1099s, okay? And then again, I mentioned earlier about the personal net worth statements that you'll need for construction firms or DBE, ACDBE, okay? So I know it might seem like it's a lot, but it can be done, okay? So, and then I just want to mention too, for the personal net worth statements, like I said, it's certain things on there that, you know, you would sign it, you would let us know what your assets and liabilities are, etc. There is a form that we require for you to use. And as you're going through your application process, then you will, you know, see all of those forms. Now, after your application is submitted, the process can take about 90 to 120 days from the day we receive all documents. Again, that is not from the date that you hit submit. Because remember, when you hit submit, you haven't paid your invoice yet if it's the local program, right? Your file has to be assigned to the certification officer. A lot of times within, you know, a couple of weeks, the certification officer will reach out to you just to kind of introduce themselves. And then once, if they'll review your application, if any additional information is needed, we will send you a request for information. So that in the event you do not provide something or something's not correct, your returns are not signed, that does not mean you're automatically denied. We will reach out to you to request that information. So make sure you are checking your emails. You will get between 15 to 20 days to respond. If you do not respond within that time, we'll give you another 10 to another 15 days. Then after that, your application, if you're not responding, can be closed due to unresponsiveness, okay? Your application is checked to make sure we have all the documentations. Your documents are thoroughly audited. We know if you haven't signed it. We look to see if your operating agreement actually lists your company. It is a thorough audit of these documents. You may receive a request for a site visit. So if you are in the requesting certification in the local program, if you are in the field of construction, if you are a supplier and distributor, if you are in trucking, you will have a site visit. All new DBE and ACDBE applicants, no matter what is your area of specialization, you will require a site visit. So a lot of times, especially for trucking, that's going to be, we want to see your trucks. So the field analysts will come out and they will actually take pictures of your trucks. Construction, we want to see your equipment, okay? If you're doing DBE, ACDBE, and you're like a consulting firm, it is a possibility that the field analyst might, instead of meet you in person, he might do it over the phone, but most of the time, majority of the time, site visits are done in person. Once you are certified, if you are approved, because applications can be denied, but if you are approved, then you must submit an annual no change affidavit every single year. Once you receive your certification approval letter, it will let you know your anniversary date. I would suggest that you submit your no change affidavit at least 60 days before your anniversary date to allow time for processing, because it can take up to 60 days to process a no change affidavit, okay? If you fail to file your annual no change affidavits, your application, you can be decertified. So you want to make sure you keep up with that annually. You must notify us regarding any changes, business name changes, ownership changes within 10 business days of that change. If it is not time for your annual no change affidavit and the business is bought out by someone else, you must let us know within 10 business days, and you will report a material change online via the portal via an expansion application, okay? And that's for ownership changes. Maintaining certification. You can expand. So when you first submit your application, you do not have to request, like, say, 10 codes, right? So your main focus is plumbing. You request to be certified in plumbing. And then later on down the line, you determine that you're going to get into general contracting for industrial buildings or something. You want to expand it to that. You can definitely do that. An expansion has no fee attached to it. You will submit an expansion application. It is reviewed. You will include the Nexus code. Remember, I mentioned that earlier. That's the code that you will use to determine what is your area of specialization, and that's what you will request to be certified in. For an expansion, you're going to include all supporting documentation, licenses for the new code, copies of past or present contracts for the new code, your current resume, if you've updated it to include the new area that you're requesting to be certified in. So 10 reasons applications are denied, right? So if you cannot substantiate your ownership or control, if that is questionable, if you have an unclear description of critical functions and who is responsible, you cannot substantiate where and how your startup funds and expansion capital was initiated. Remember, one of the things we look for is your initial equity contribution. Those funds should be coming directly from you and not from somebody else. If you have outside secondary employment, it takes up most of your time each day. We're not saying you can't have a second job, but if you have a full-time job and you're unable to perform efficiently and effectively the day-to-day operations of your firm that you're requesting for certification, you can't be denied for that. If you're outside of the 6-county region for the local program, if you are not responding, okay, that's what I said earlier. Stalk your emails if you must, but check your emails until you finally get a decision from us on whether or not you are approved or denied for certification. Are there any inconsistencies with the applicant firm name? If you've changed your name, that is absolutely fine, but you should be providing us with supporting documentation to show that the name has changed, right? So in your application, you shouldn't be saying ABC, INC, and then somewhere else you're saying XYZ LLC, okay? So make sure you're consistent. Are there problems with your contracts? Is there missing information, incomplete, not signed and executed? Any contracts you are providing to us, they should be signed by both parties, okay? Do you not have proof of payments for those contracts? Sometimes we will ask you that. Provide proof to us that for that contract, your client or your customer actually paid you for your services. If your required documents are not attached or no explanation is given as to why the documents are not available. Remember I said we understand that everybody does not have every piece of information that we're asking, but indicate exactly why you don't have it, right? Just put it on a piece of paper. Do not have 7 years of tax returns. My business just started in 2021, right? Simple, upload that, okay? The required amount of years of tax returns were not submitted and signed. See that? Signed is important, okay? For the local program, 3 years for non-construction and 7 years for construction and 5 years for the federal program. So hopefully, I know it's a lot of information, but if anybody has any questions at this time, Jackie will read the questions to me and then I will answer them. If anybody wants to reach out to me directly, my name again is Keisha Rogers. My email address is my name. So it's KEISHA.ROGERS@cityofchicago.org. That's Keisha, KEISHA.ROGERS@cityofchicago.org. Shoot me an email and I will try my best to get back to you and answer any questions if you're not able to get your question addressed at this time. So Jackie, if there's any questions, I'm ready.
All right. Well, for this session, unfortunately, Keisha, they won't have the opportunity because most of our people today are on the phone.
Okay.
So if you would like to ask Keisha a question, I will open up your mic and allow you to speak if you'd like to do so. So if you'd like to do that, I just sent Keisha's email address to everyone. So hopefully you got that. Let me pull up the listing. I don't see any hands, but if you would like me to unmic you and you to ask a question, feel free to go ahead and raise your hand. Okay, number 9. Give me just a second. There you go.
Hi. Hi, how are you? This is Diana. I wanted to ask, you mentioned about for non-construction was 3 years and then for federal would be 5 years. We've been in business, this will be our 5th year in September, and we're a medical nurse staffing firm. Does that mean that we will then have to wait till September in order to start looking into the federal contracts for medical nurse staffing?
So for certification, the 5 years is what is required. So right now, if you don't have 5 years, say you just have 4, that's fine. So that's what you would need to provide to us is the 4 years of tax returns for the DBE for the federal program. Now for the local program, if you wanted to do that, it seems like you would have the 3 returns. So like I said, that's what I was saying. If you don't have everything, we understand that. Just provide what you do have and provide an explanation as to why you do not have it. Now, as an officer, when I look and see that your business, like I said, was just formed in 2022, I'm going to know that's why you didn't have it. But just to be safe, I would definitely just upload something indicating why you do not have those tax returns. But you definitely don't have to wait until like September to apply for certification because you don't have the full 5 years. Hopefully that answers your question. Jackie, are you there?
If that answers your question, I'm sending a request to you, number 9, so you can unmic yourself if you have further comment.
Thank you. Yes, that would be. And then also, would we be getting a copy of the recording for today for the slides? I assume that they're slides. I'm just on the phone and I'm not able to view them at this time.
There are slides, and we will upload them on Fridays. We upload the slides from the 2 sessions that we have during the week on Fridays online at chicago.gov/DPS. I think it's DPS training. You can go online there and see the slides, and then the recordings are in YouTube at youtube.com/Chicago DPS. And once you'll get there, this will be the first recording for 2023. So you will go to the playlist that says Workshops 2023, and you'll see the recording in there. But give us a moment, because this is actually to our older model of the presentation. We're going to be remodeling the presentation, and I'm almost finished with her slides. I'm almost finished with the slides to be transferred over. So those will be the ones we post on Friday. So give us a moment for that. But yes, you will get a copy of that. And I will make sure that everyone knows from this particular session, because I don't know who is on the phone call. I can't send you an email to let you know, but I will definitely let you know that you can upload it, because we put that in the DPS alert. So that's one area that you can look if you are interested in information. I will also send to you a copy of the instructions right now. So if you would like to look at these instructions and make sure that you have them before you check out today, you will be able to go online and see what I was just saying to you. It's not there yet, but it will be there by Friday. Any other hands up or questions? No other hands up? Well, Keisha, I guess you've done a great job for today.
Okay.
And so there are very few questions. But if you do in case have a question after today, you can always email dps.events@cityofchicago.org. I get those emails, and I will make sure whomever the instructor is, in this case it's Keisha, that she will answer those questions for you and get back to you. So if you do have a question, we are still available after today's session. We apologize for the technical difficulties, and we look forward to you at another workshop with us. There's going to be another one of these, how to become certified. We have one of these every month. So if there's things you want to get a little bit more clear on and you want to attend again, feel free to come back next month and attend. Or if you can't wait that long and you want to go online to youtube.com/Chicago DPS, and you click on the playlist 2022, you will see the last copies of this particular workshop that we have done. You will see copies of that in that playlist. I say go in there and kind of peruse and look at it, because the information is the same, but the questions are different. And sometimes someone else might have a question that kicks off something in your head that could be great information for you. So with that said, thanks for attending today. Thank you, Keisha,
All right, thank
for
you.
presenting, and you all have a great rest of your day.
All right, have a good one. Thank you.